Hi class. So we are going to cover how to find the slope given 2 points, no graph. Okay, so let's go ahead and write that down. Finding slope given 2 points, no graph. Okay, so I'll go over one example. All right, so suppose that you have to find the slope. And suppose the 2 points you're given are -8, 7, and let's say you have -3, -2. Okay, so you're going to be using the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What that really means is this over here. Okay, this here is your second y value, and this is your first y value. So it's your second y value minus your first y value, and down here it's your second x value minus your first x value. Okay, so those can be found in the 2 points because remember, each point is an x and y value. Okay, so since this one over here is first, we'll just call that one our first point. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm going to call this my first x value and my first y value. And then over here, for the other point over here, this is going to be my second x value and my second y value. So now I have all the 4 numbers that go into the formula over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug them in. Now, I highly recommend that you use parentheses to separate everything, and this will help you keep track of all of your signs, all of your negatives and positives. Okay, so a lot of times the students that make mistakes are the ones who don't use the parentheses. You don't have to use the parentheses, but like I said, I highly recommend you do, especially if you're a little weak with your negative and positive numbers. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so in my formula over here, okay, so it says to plug in my second y value. Okay, so I look up here, and this is my second y value. Okay, so I'm going to plug in -2. Okay, and now I have to subtract my first y value, and my first y value is over here. So I'm going to put 7 inside the second parentheses. Okay, and then down below in the first parentheses, I have to put my second x value. So that's over here. So I'm going to put -3 inside. And then my first x value, which is over here, which is -8. Okay. Now, when you have these double negatives like you have down below in the denominator, so when you have these double negatives right here, okay, then they become positive. Okay, so now we can go ahead and combine everything. So in the numerator, we're combining -2, and this subtraction sign is actually part of the 7. So that's like a -7. So that's like combining -2 and -7. So that's -9. Down below, I'm combining -3 with +8. -3 with +8. So that's going to give me 5. And this is improper, but we're going to leave it as improper. Okay, we're not going to rewrite that as -1 and 4/5. We'll leave it just like that. Because remember, we want to know how much we're going up and that or down, and how much we're going to run. We want to know what our rise is and what our run is, so that if we have a point, if we know a point, and we know the slope is -9, 5, then I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I would run 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's where my other point would be. Okay, so keep it as -9/5. Don't write it as -1 and 4/5. Don't do that, because then it's hard to see what the rise is. Okay. All right, so that's about it. That's it for finding the slope given 2 points. So this is just a formula you will need to memorize. Okay, and again, use your parentheses over here when you start to plug in. It'll help keep everything organized. And then don't forget, when you see that double negative, they become positive. And don't forget, this is the sign for that. Okay? If you have any questions, make sure you email me, or you can text me your questions through the Remind app.